Hey, everybody, this is Mary.
And this is Julie.
And you are listening to the High Priestess Hype Club. All right, so here's a story, right, about music. And I love all kinds of music, right? So I can listen to anything, rap, rock, whatever it is. I can listen to anything.
Yeah.
You know, being in ceremony, I've listened to all kinds of like beautiful, like Celtic music, and then also drumming, because I've been in some other types of ceremonies for voodoo and Santeria. So some drumming, it's beautiful. So here's the other thing. I am not an early morning person, right? So you would think that like I would have an alarm that was set with like a foghorn or something like that, right? And sometimes I've had music, right?
Yeah.
Well, when my brother and I were younger, he was always the one tasked to kind of wake me up because I just couldn't. I didn't like to get up in the morning.
Wasn't gonna happen.
So he came in one morning, tried to wake me up, and I was like, "Get away from me!" And he's like, "All right, all right." So at the time, this is like the 80s. So I had the record player with the cassette tapes in it, you know, the radio, like the whole thing with the boombox speaker. Like I had the
nice
whole thing
combo situation.
Oh,
yes.
Totally. Right. But could blow the doors off the place. Right.
Nice.
So I hear Anthony come in. He opens up the cassette player. I hear the cassette close, and he presses play, and out of the speakers at a loud, very loud blare are bagpipes.
Oh my God.
I jumped out of bed. I ran after him. He hid behind the saint, my mother, my tiny little mother, who did not know what was happening. All she heard was these bagpipes go off. He's flying down the stairs. I'm flying down the stairs. And now she's in between the two of us. And I'm ready to kill him. And I'm like, what the? And he's like, Mom told me I had to get you up for school. I'm like, you mother. Yeah. Yeah.
That's amazing.
So I think now, like, I hear a bagpipe and I start to twitch, you know, for music. So
it's like, hey.
Yeah, that was not a magical time. That was not a magical time. No.
That's amazing. I also love that your older brother hid behind your mom.
My little tiny Irish Catholic saint of a mother. He hid behind because he knew I wouldn't like kill him then. But if you know, we were the type of brother and sister that we were always like, we would kill someone else, but we were always like, you know, getting into it when we were kids, you know, we were those type of, So today's episode, guys, just in case you were wondering, is music and magic, or music and manifestation, whatever, music and making things happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jules, you were talking about, when we were talking offline about this episode, you were talking a little bit about like how you felt about using music in your work. And so, yeah, I'd love to hear more about it.
I think it's interesting. I started using I like a lot of music too, you guys, and people who know me, everything, just like I kind of have music on all the time, and it's a lot of different genres and kind of depends on the vibe of what's happening and all of that. But in doing some of the work that I've been doing recently for myself, sometimes I'll hit on like certain lyrics in a song that'll kind of match up to what's going on with me. And sometimes I'll listen to that song more and really kind of focus on those times as like kind of reinforcement and like kind of a focus back to what I'm doing, even if the whole song doesn't match, you know? Like sometimes there's just a lyric set that you like, maybe that's just my brain. I'm also a little bit obsessed with like learning all of the lyrics to songs that I like.
Same.
So, you know, I know some people who are like, well, when Tracy and I were dating early, he would play this song that was so depressing all the time. And it was about like how everything this person touches, like their relationships turn to shit and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, and one day I was like, are you trying to tell me something? Like, I was like, are we breaking up? What is happening here?
Right. What is this? Yes.
And they're just like, I just really like that song. I'm like, have you listened to the words to this song? They're like, no. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't know the words? So people are different. So don't always assume they're speaking to you through the words to the song, that maybe they just like it. Maybe they just like that it's a certain vibe or whatever. But sidebar. But yes, so there's certain songs that I like that have like lyrics in them that I really connect to. So sometimes when I'm like thinking about that work or bringing it back to it, you can kind of use it as like a focus. And also when I'm just going through my day when that song comes on, because I'm always have a playlist running, like
always, yeah.
it can kind of bring you back to center around that.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's always like, what is it? Is it weird, like Nordic folk music that I kind of got really into recently that
Love.
is kind of like lo-fi beats to slay your enemies too. I think it's great. It's really good for bad work days, but
Mhm.
anyway, so but there's that. I like doing that. I also like have certain instrumental music that I like to put on if I'm trying to get in a headspace, right?
Yeah.
Like a lot of times I use like Peter Cater or Carlos Nakai. That's kind of standard, like what I would use for
Mm.
Reiki. But I
Yeah.
also like it if I'm trying to like do ritual here and I'm feeling like, look, I'm just in my house. This doesn't
Mhm.
feel special. And maybe I want it to. Like I can put in my earphone, like my earbuds and kind of
Mhm.
listen to it. And it kind of helps bring that in.
Right.
Um, and if you play music into the air, sometimes into the air as opposed to like just earbuds, like it
Right.
can change like the vibration of the room and what's happening there. So I don't know if you've
I
ever done
love
that. I'm
that.
sure you have.
Yeah, well, but I mean, it's I love that because sometimes I forget that music can
Mm-hmm.
change the energy of things,
Mm-hmm.
but the one thing I always remember about music, and I'm actually going to do that, Jules, like I'm going to try to change energy in places I am, I'll say it that way. But I always have feelings around music. The songs that have meaning to me, there's always some kind of emotion, or I get like a certain
Yeah.
thought, like or a love or something like that. So especially if you're trying to manifest things, I think
Mm-hmm.
even if you write things down that you want, but and you use a certain musical piece behind it, like while you're writing,
Yeah.
it can just the energy of the music can just be there. And I think that's sometimes, we can go into a whole bigger, longer conversation about this, which we probably have and will again, about how I'm just saying it's true, how you can always layer things in your manifestation work or
Oh,
your
yeah.
so music in the background, even if you're kind of like, well, I'm just writing this note about what I'm looking for my new job. Well, put some kind of music on in the background that's going to be about money and, like, and I got to say, a lot of rappers, that's a great
Look, the
place to get
majority
some.
of it is about like talking hype about yourself and how
Mhm.
you have more of whatever you want, right?
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Right. So, I mean, I know it might sound weird. People might be like, what? But seriously, these are things that you
No,
can
yeah.
do. And I think about, one of my favorite songs lately is Megan the Stallion's Body, which I know it came out a few years ago, but
She's so good.
she's so good. And of course, I saw drag queens dance to it. So I was like, oh my God. So, but it's really about like this empowerment, it's about empowerment as a woman,
Yep.
and she says it in such a way that sometimes she says a lyric and I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. Like how she wove that together. But sometimes it just can be that easy. And you can also use kind of the rhythm of the musician or the artist. Like,
Yeah.
Megan the Stallion is this strong, powerful woman, rapper in
Yep.
charge, kind of, like being powerful in life. If you're looking for that,
No,
she
I
can
think
help.
that's great. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's great. There's a song because you guys, I've been like back in dance for Mary made me look. She's like, look, you've been doing this for almost a year, very
Mhm.
consistently, very good. I was like, oh, thank you. I needed that hype up,
True.
which is another reason why we're here. One of the songs in there, I'm not great at self talk. We'll just put that out there. It's just me talking to me and I'm minimizing and not doing great
Right.
with it and having a hard time. But there's this one song that we're doing, and in our dance class, if you guys have seen, like sometimes I post stuff on like my stories or whatever, but we often like yell some of the lyrics like while we're working out because it's fun and it's whatever. But there's one that Sierra's like, I know I'm cute, I know I'm fly, right? And
Yes.
some days I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna yell that too to like attempt
Mhm.
to like put that in there. And maybe I'm
Yeah.
not like being fully like today when I go, I will do
Right.
full self-talk during this song, right?
Right.
But like sometimes like, hey, like, okay, that's good.
Right.
That helps. And so that's, it doesn't always have
Yeah.
to be like, I am in meditative space and
Right.
listening to my favorite song by this artist.
Mhm.
Oh, and also sidebar, because that's how
That's what
we
we
are.
do. Right.
If you're listening to something and it doesn't seem to match, you don't have to force it, right?
Mhm.
Like you
Right.
just find what works, just switch it up. Like I was telling Mary earlier, whenever I go to Reiki or acupuncture that 2 times, but you always have like some kind of like spa meditative kind of music. And I'm usually like, why don't I just do this at home? Like, why don't I
Mhm.
just play this around the house? Wouldn't it make the house feel so nice and blah, blah, blah? No, No, sometimes
I'm
it does
sorry.
not work. Me doing dishes is not a spa experience. And how is like,
No.
sometimes it just doesn't fit,
Right.
and you don't have
Right.
to force it to fit. And I was like, does that mean I can't relax in my own home? It's like, no, maybe that means that that is the space you like that music because it sets that tone. Your body knows
Right.
that's what you're there to do. That's where your mind can go into like a more meditative place as opposed
Yeah.
to like, damn, I gotta wash all these dishes. Like, let's
Right.
go. So that's probably a different playlist.
Well, but you know what's interesting? You say that because I know like there's some philosophies out there that are like, oh, take the dish time and make it a meditative time. And if you like doing
Yeah.
that, I think that's amazing. Like sometimes
Yeah.
if I'm in the mood, I'll be like, oh, I'm going to bless this dish and the food that was on it. And thank you for everything. And I'm glad I'm here. I can wash my own dishes. I can totally be there,
That's
folks.
nice.
There's sometimes I got to put on a song that's going to tell me what's what. And, then and kind of like shimmy while I'm doing the
Yeah.
dishes. I think, but again, these are all actions that I think show like we're putting something in motion. So even if it's just
Mhm.
cleaning the dishes, sometimes you can take a double, do something that you can get double pay for, like if you're washing the
Right.
dishes, it's like, oh,
Right.
thank you so much for this. And hey, by the way, I don't ever have to worry about my food when like I want to always have food. I want to always have this. I want to always, you know
Right.
what I mean? Like, the abundance.
No,
I want to be, yeah,
that's a
I
great
always,
idea.
I have the home that I can put the dishes in the cabinet here, and I have the car that drives me to the grocery store, and I have, you know what I mean? You can do
I
all
need to
kinds
start
of stuff
doing
with
that.
it.
I do enough stuff in
Right.
the kitchen magically. Why am I
Right.
not doing this?
There you go. Well,
My majority of my shrine is my kitchen windowsill. What am I doing?
nothing.
Let's
Cause
add that in.
I mean, nothing in the sense of like, I just felt like I was like, oh, that'd be kind of cool to do. So it just came to me too. So don't worry. It just, sometimes it's
That's a
just like,
great
oh, we got to
idea.
talk about it. Yeah. But that's like taking the mundane. I get it. And people do it
Right.
meditatively, but let's also manifest with it. Why not?
I think that's a great idea. Yeah,
And
dude.
gratitude when when you start off with that kind of like, thank you for the plates that I have to wash and the soap that I got from the grocery store. And then like, you can kind of build from there, which I think is
Yeah.
fun. And then if you have like some good music in the background, you can be like, thank you so much.
I'm always seeing something now. So yeah.
Oh yeah, same.
100%.
It's the energy, the extra energy that I have that I try to get rid of.
I know,
So
right?
I do the same. Like I said, we got to, repurpose and double whammy everything, as I call it, in a good way, not a bad double whammy way. No. We talk about
No, a
that on
good
other
way.
shows in a good way.
In a good way. And
In
I
a
think
good way.
too, I was thinking about what you said earlier about using magic as like music as like a layer in your magic. Like if you were doing a focus spell, I thought about this like something to build your focus or whatever. You can use Baroque because slow tempo Baroque is a focus
Yeah.
style they use in GIM, like guided imagery and music. I learned that like a slower tempo Baroque helps you really focus on days that I have a hard time focusing for work. If I put that on, it's like laser. It's really
Yeah.
interesting how that works. So just
Well,
a little, I'm having a hard time at work. Put on some slow Baroque.
I love
You
that.
will be surprised. You will get a lot done.
Yeah, that's it because the brainwaves, right? We're working with the brainwaves and the brains, guys. The brains is so. I'm sure you all feel the same way. Brain, how it works, how our emotions connect in with it, the subconscious. Oh my god, so fascinating. Anyway, so this is going to sound strange, guys, but you know me, I'm a weirdo. If I have a writer's block,
Yeah,
I put on Johnny Cash.
amazing. And you know that
once-
works for you. I mean,
and that
Johnny
works
Cash
for
is
me.
great.
He's great. So usually I find the Folsom Prison record. That.
Yeah.
Hello, I'm Johnny Cash. And I put that on, I
Mhm.
listened to it for a while, and all of a sudden, like things start, because there's some kind of emotion that I hear in his voice and just of who he is.
Yeah.
And I listen to that, and then like some about that low tone just kind of gets to me,
See,
so
that's so cool.
so that's something you can do if you're like, I got a block, find a music that's going to touch you and kind of open things up, because that'll do it. And if you're trying to like get over something, I don't know if anybody here has had their heart broken.
Never.
But sometimes music can help with that. Like there's some great music out there about, I'm independent, I'm free, I have a lot going for me now.
Yeah.
Dummy, kind of stuff. So you can use it for that. But even songs that, you wouldn't say were like, oh, it's an empowering song, but I know it makes me feel great.
It makes a difference.
It makes a difference. And that's what made it. So Guys, if you think about manifestation, right? Manifestation is when you are in your flow state. That means that you're able to like be in the same space as like the spirits and you can connect. And so you can manifest what you're looking for. Well, music helps us do that. So this is a great way, if you're like, I don't do formal magic, that's fine. You don't have to, but we manifest things, we ask for things, we create things in our lives through our thoughts. That's why music is really, really important with it. That's why it is magic. It really is.
It is. And I think it's interesting because I hadn't done this before, but at the beginning of this year, Mary and I pulled like year cards and mine was fairly intense. But I started doing a playlist around it and I've ended up breaking it up into quarters. So I've got like, because why not? Do I work in corporate? And I made a Q1 playlist. Yes, kill me.
Love it.
But anyway, but it's been interesting to see. I recently went back and listened to it and I could see like what my focus was on, what has changed from then, like in quarter two, like how did it shift? And because I was trying to put a lot of music in there, one that kind of matched my mood and frustrations, the Aries moon, right? But also, so some of it's really angry. And then, but also like, if there was a lyric in it, like, where am I trying to go? Does it touch on something that matters right now? And so it's been interesting to see quarter one, quarter two, quarter three, like, how is that changing? Like, where am I at that's different? And you can look at, I did actually journal some, watch out. I can look at kind of like where my head was then, and then, why the songs came around. It's been interesting to kind of listen back to those. So we'll see what happens the rest of Q3 and Q4, but it might be an interesting exercise to make playlists based on like, what are you trying to bring about? Right. What are you trying to make for yourself? And then just listen to them.
I think we can bridge that to like when you go to the gym and you create a playlist at the gym.
Yes.
And you want songs to really be like inspiring or like whatever you're trying to do. If you're lifting heavy weights and you're trying to be like, whatever. Right. It's the same thing, right? We want a certain mood to come along with that music. The other thing I was going to mention is I know there's music I can't listen to anymore. It just doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Doesn't work anymore. So that's okay to like kind of let some music go to. Now here, so I just, of course, I thought this in my mind, of course, when I was thinking about music, right? People will be like, okay, great. So if I want to get my ex back, I want to think about or listen to that music that reminds me of them and stuff like that. Now, if you happen to notice, first of all, just a piece of advice, just don't go back with your ex.
Just don't. Okay?
Just don't.
For a reason.
Okay. It's done for a reason. You put trash outside, you don't bring it back in. All right.
Oh, so Sagittarius.
Thank you. There's that, right? I'm just saying.
No, it's true.
But like, you're going to go listen to that music to try to bring them back. But if the feeling isn't the same and the like, it's not going to work.
Right. Right.
It's also like if you're listening to music that you don't really believe in, like, so you're listening, it's not going to work. So you have to stop and say, if I'm creating something in my life, it may not be here yet. And that's okay. But if that music brings me that feeling and I can allow myself to open that space up for myself, that's on. So then the music can help with bringing those feelings to the right place. But also if you're noticing like, oh, I listened to me and my ex's song and it's not giving me the same feeling.
Right.
Then maybe there's a reason.
Yeah. That's a good point. I hadn't thought about that. And also, I think too, maybe it would be better suited to like listen to things that you want to show up. And if it's that person and they changed, maybe they'll come back. But even if you wanted them back, you probably wouldn't want that old version of them. And if you do, maybe you need to think about it. Not that y'all haven't had that thought at one point, y'all. This is like,
oh my God, guys, you have no idea. You have no idea.
This is learning from experience.
Exactly.
We are no better than anyone else. We've all done it. This is why we're thinking about that. I was just like, oh yeah, I think that if I had gone there, I'd probably be like,
oh,
okay, well, what would we want instead now?
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, so reach for it. If someone has a song out that you're like, oh, this is like everything I want.
Yeah.
It just means it's not here yet. It doesn't mean it's not going to be here. It's just not here yet.
Yeah.
So give yourself the space to say, yeah, I can have that. I can have those cars in the garage. I can have that job that I love. I can have that romance that I want. Like, just, if you don't feel it right now, let the song bring you to that feeling. Imagine it. Like, again, it's another layer of like
that.
Working with your imagination on that stuff and manifestation. So music, it really is, it was funny. I read something online that said like, when the whole world was shut down, you turned to, music and art and Netflix and movies. You turn to artists. You turn to artists. And so we can, magicians or witches are also artists, but musicians are too. So we can use those things. And, I was just thinking, I mean, I know we're talking about music here, but you can also use photos like art pieces and, passages from books and just, the art is so important in this life anyway. So I will not go off on my soapbox about that, but it touches our subconscious mind too, because it allows our mind to be open to touch the abstract, to work with sounds and visuals and, textures and things like that. So allow your manifestation to open, because, there are things that are taken and like in an alchemy, they're artists are alchemists. So you can be too, and you can work with them. They've already done the work for you. Use what they've done for you already and manifest, make the work a little easier.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
And I had an interest. Is it interesting? I thought it was. I had a
I
thought
know it is.
that like when you're listening to the music too, if you guys are like into like mandalas and things like that, whether you want them to be symmetrical or not, you can always just like follow the music and maybe bring out what comes through you into the like the mandala space. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but that's another way you could layer it and kind of see what comes out for you that way.
All right. So say I just want to make sure I got it right. So say some days I'm not so good. If I get a mandala, like say I get a mandala coloring book, right? Are you talking about making mandalas or like I
so
get a
what
mandala?
I mean,
tell me,
a mandala coloring book that could be interesting. Thank you for asking me to clarify, because sometimes I have ideas in my mind and they do not come out clearly. Well, but a thing that I was taught after a guided imagery and music session, you're usually handed a piece of paper with a blank perfect circle in it, and like, crayons are usually like oil pastels or something like that. And then you just go. You just you just create whatever you create. And I can't remember the name of it right now. I wish I could. There's a system for reading mandalas that can kind of show like different ideas of what might be coming out, like psycho-socially or whatever. That's not the right word, but like subconsciously. There it is.
Subconsciously, yeah.
Right. What are you focused on? What are you bringing up? It's really interesting. I'll see if I can figure out what it is. I know they've altered it for corporates. So if you've heard of it in the corporate world, it's a related tool that has moved back. I'll try to remember and put it in the show notes. Anyway, but then you just sit after your session and you just put color where color wants to go, whatever it is. And usually it brings something out. And after one session, after a Reiki session with music I did that. And I shared with Mary this one that I did. And a few days later, I was out hiking and I kind of asked, I was working with one of the deities I work with, and I was feeling really unsure and not knowing what to do. And they were like, keep walking this way. And I was like, okay, because half the time I don't trust myself anyway. Like, is this me? Is this them? What's happening?
Right.
And I walked up on this tree that looked almost exactly the same in a way. And it was kind of like, and it felt, oh, I'm getting all chills, but it was interesting that like the music plus the drawing brought me to that. And in a way that feels like layers of the magic all coming together, and also like being reassuring that you're on the right path and all of those different things. So I got emotional and lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
No, you did. But you made a great point, because I think it's afterwards. It's so you had your healing session. You drew that mandala. Yeah. So I just want to make sure I knew. So it's like you can take the crayon, you can draw what you're feeling in that mandala space, and then the spirit world showed you signs of like, hey girl, we helped you with that, or we saw that, and we're like connecting it, which is talk about great signs, great symbols.
Which was amazing, but it's also a fun way. Not all of us like to journal, but maybe we like to have some kind of tangible thing that was afterward,
Yeah. And just an FYI, guys, that anything creative touches into the subconscious. So that's why it's a really great thing to do. And it was awesome, Jules, that you did that. Then went out in nature. I mean, talk about like a double awesome. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm going to create, and then I'm going to go out in nature and be with nature and be with my deity that I love. And, I think, it's a real peaceful way to like handle things. And I love it. And I think you had a lot of layers there that were really awesome for you. So
Yeah.
yeah, you're doing
It's
it,
been a
girl.
big year.
It's been a big year. Yeah, it's been a big year. That's true. That's true. But guys, listen, if you have a playlist from this year, we would love to hear it. You know, if you've used
Ooh.
music in your work or anything, you know, your manifestation, we'd love to hear that too. Yeah, I mean, I think it's just such a beautiful artistic expression that I
Mhm.
knew. And it was funny, I was driving when I got this idea for the show. I was listening to
Yes.
lyrics of some music. Actually, if you can believe this, guys, it was Metallica. And I heard
Hetfield. Yeah.
James Hetfield say in the song Fuel, fuel, give me fire, give me that with that which I desire. And I was like, there we go.
Hey.
There we
Yeah.
go. Right.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, and he said it and I know it's about cars and I understand, but it's that speed and that power and that, and you know, if I want that,
Yeah. That focus.
mhm, give me
Yep.
fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire. That is a chant.
I
Give me
know.
the,
When you told me that, I was like, oh, yes, it is.
yeah.
Like, that's, yeah.
So those are different ways, guys. If there's some music that you like and you connect with that lyric, then use it. Use it in your
Oh, yeah.
manifestation. Why not? Yeah.
And if you can like create your own music, that's awesome too. I do not
Yeah.
have that
No.
solid skill, but I know there are a lot of people who do. And I think that's amazing.
Super impressive, guys. Super impressive.
hmm
Yeah.
hmm
So, all right, Julie. So, if folks want to talk about music that they listen to, manifestations and things, how can people find us?
Oh, well, you can email us at highpriestesshypeclub@gmail.com. You can go to our website at hypeclub.live. We are
Mhm.
on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook at High Priestess Hype Club. I know there's something else. You can go to Mary's site at marydalba.com.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yep. And Julie, how
And
do people find your link tree?
it's Linktree/Julie Atkinson, or you can just go to Which I'm Trying on Instagram
Instagram.
or I think I have it on the TikToks too now.
Yes.
So I'm trying to
Yeah.
get back in my TikTok life because it
Yeah.
took my life away for a while. And then I was like, but I'm back because,
TikTok.
it's
It's great.
fun.
It's
It's
fun.
demure.
Yes.
I don't know if you know about the demure girl yet. Well, I'll tell you offline.
Oh, yeah. That sounds like fun. Well, you can find us there too, guys. And listen,
You can find us there too.
you can find, and we would love to hear from you about your music journey, your manifestation journey, just what's going on in your life. And we want to remind you, as always, enjoy your day, whatever you're listening to, whatever you're manifesting. And remember, you are magic. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook at High Priestess Hype Club and subscribe to us on whatever platform you're currently listening to us on now because we're back every Thursday to hype you up. Email us at highpriestesshypeclub@gmail.com and tell us what you think. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.